You know, they say everything's bigger in Texas. Well, here on RaceSpotTV, it's Monday night, and Monday Night Skippys is coming up next from Circuit of the Americas. Good evening, race fans. RaceSpotTV, it's Rachel and Connery bringing you the action tonight from Monday Night Skippys. We're live here, Connery, for round number 4, Circuit of the Americas, the full track today. And we've got a packed grid at the moment. We've got about 45 cars ready to take this one tonight. Qualifying, well, it's currently underway, open qualifying for them at the moment, and the grid is setting up nicely.
Yes, it is currently provisional pole. It is Bill Fraser, your defending champion by quite a huge margin, actually 0.4 of a second is the advantage for him. But due to this open qualifying session that we have, there are quite a few drafting packs just making themselves around the racing circuit, trying to get some fast lap times down, because in the clear air here, you're not going to go as fast on the qualifying lap as if you have a pack to work with.
Yeah, absolutely not, of course, and track conditions are very different to what people have actually seen all week, of course, in the official series here, Connery. Looking at what we have, it's clear, which makes a big difference. The skybox has often been described, the air conditions, shall we say, have been described as the biggest factor when it comes to the racetrack and how it handles. Clear versus partly cloudy, mostly cloudy, overcast. Biggest difference, temperature, it's about standard, 76 degrees Fahrenheit, 101 Fahrenheit track temperature itself. Normal afternoon conditions. The winds, northeast at 12, that's quite strong, but it's the clear skies that make the biggest difference.
Yeah, it is. It just allows that sun to beat down on the track surface and just heat it up a lot more than if you had a couple of clouds out there in the sky. But as a result, you could see some cars starting to slide around out there as the track is a little bit slicker than it otherwise would be. But looking at the point situation right now, it's Simon Edwards right now. 1 race win to his name so far of the 3 races this season. He currently leads Jack Hobbs by 12 points. Now, we haven't really seen Jack Hobbs, fighting for podium positions, fighting for the race overall race wins, but he has finished twice inside the top 5, and his other finish also inside the top 10. So that really says something about consistency. You don't have to be winning every single race here to be within a shot at the championship.
Certainly not, of course, and one thing we do need to kind of point out recently is the track conditions this season has been on the fairly high usage sort of level. Marbles, of course, and dust left on the track between sessions, and practice starts with moderate to high use. So there's a lot of rubbish on the track at the moment, especially once you get to race time. This means that we have a slick track, Connery, and passing is at a premium at the best of times, especially now you see that the offline areas are very dusty and dirty, a lot of marbles. You go offline, try and make a pass, it's going to cost you, and this track only has really got 2 potential passing locations. It got down in the end before turn 12, and you have the final corner, really. Well, the first corner, I should say.
Yeah, we also have potentially turn number 12 as well, where we see a lot of dives down the inside, and then we see sometimes those battles carrying on side by side through the slow speed middle sector of turn 13, 14, 15, 16. So we're going to go on board here with the number 22 of Benny Simonsen here. He currently has 2 starts in this series, did miss out 1 race at the start there, and he's won both of the races that he has participated in so far. Currently only P2 on the grid so far, but he has the drafting pack of Simon Edwards and Mick Watson to work with, and those are both very quick drivers in their own right as well. So I think Benny is definitely going to be on for a pole here if he can string a lap together.
Certainly does, and that'll be interesting to see if he can get that sorted and give himself a good run in this. It would be necessary for him to make any sort of advantage. He's in a great position here, being 3rd in line of that train. That'll give him a huge advantage. He's got Watson just ahead and Anthony Cat there. This could be a good run if they don't impede him too much. Looks like Cat is pulling out the way. No, it's Edwards, sorry, not Cat. It's Edwards just dropping out the way. Looks like Benny was held up a little bit there by Watson, who takes a preferred line, but we'll see if it could be an improvement.
Yeah, it could be, as long as Mick Watson here doesn't slow him up too much. Their pace coming through this sector will actually be quite important, because you're not relying on that draft to suck you up to the back of the car, and it's if Benny Simonsen actually gets held up coming through here, and he will get held up coming through turn number 15, so perhaps not pole position, but there's still a shot at it.
Certainly is, and well, a chance indeed. We'll see what happens when he reaches the end of this lap and whether or not he gets anything from this. A couple of corners left to go. We'll see what it's looking like. He's not looked particularly slow, Connery. It looks like he's had a good maintained toe there from Watson. It looked like he might have been slowed down a little at turn 12, but we'll see what he can get here. It seems to be a good consistent run through the corner. Oh, Watson gets a bit slow. Will he pull out and try and take advantage of the draft? No, but it's an improvement, just not enough. Fraser had a perfect run and the flag is out.
Yep, the flag is out, so the drivers out there on laps right now. Well, this will be their final lap of this open qualifying session, and I have completely no idea right now of who could possibly challenge Bill Fraser for pole position, but I'm just looking through the field right now. There aren't really any drafting packs with very quick drivers in them that could challenge. Absolutely, this will be interesting. Of course, let's take a look at our 1 second bracket there. 28.098 for Fraser. We look at a 29.098, and that comes around pretty quickly. I'd say it's about 12 cars, Connery. That is a small 1 second bracket this week, which shows that ability here on a longer track with more corners. Lap time's a huge thing. We'll see this thing spread out fairly fast. Yeah, and you also got the issue of proportionally that 1 second bracket. It's a longer lap time, so obviously fewer drivers will be within the same seconds bracket there when they get their qualifying times done. So it's not exactly representative of the racing that we will be able to see, as I'm not seeing a lot of movers on this timing board at all. So I think everyone's pretty much done. I think they are, and looking at how things will play out, well, I think we are done there. Yes. Oh, Fraser's just improved that one to a 27.909. Oh my days. That is a very rapid lap from him, and he didn't really have a draft partner there. That's what's confusing me, is other cars with draft had much slower laps, whereas Fraser basically was sat on his own for most of that lap. I'm just looking back through it now to see if he ever had any help at any point. Because I think this is... No, he literally did that lap on his own with no support whatsoever. Bill Fraser has this place dialed in. This could be quite the interesting race. But, yeah, Connery, before we do go too far into our analysis, let's take a look at our grid. On pole, as we just mentioned, Bill Fraser with a 227.909. Benny Simmons in second place, a full, well, 3.5 tenths back from him. Anthony Cat in third place. From him tonight is Simon Edwards, Gary Tall, Mick Watson, Jack Hobbs, Adam Terry, and Chris Malcolm's your top 10. Then we have Clark Williams, Anthony Jones, Jonathan Sheen, with Stuart Hancock and Matt Cox rounding at your top 15. James McRitchie, Nicholas Vaughan Roberts, Ewan Patterson, Charles Kellyman, and Darrell Taylor, that top 20. Paul Thurston, all the way back in 26th, Connery. He doesn't like this place. Yeah, that definitely looks to be the case, as he usually, well, at least for this season, has been looking to qualify in and around that top 10, which has been a couple of very good results for him this season, but P number 26 isn't exactly where he wants to start. He's basically in the thick of things there with the likes of James Child, Tim Adcock, Aidan Rowe, Simon Maltby and Plumley there as well, not having the best qualifying efforts from them. So those are the drivers that you kind of expect to see make their way through the field. Maltby, Plumley, and a couple of others down the field as well. Let's see what Barry West can do from P number 33. Yeah, that's going to set us up for a very, very interesting race.
Certainly will, and looking forward to seeing how this one does play out. As we mentioned, a lot of cars up for tonight's race. We have 46 cars in session. 43 of those have set qualifying times all the way from the 2:27 mark to a 2:34. Our last place qualifier, Chris J. Morris, back there. But the times do spread out very rapidly through this field. Huge gap there in time, about 7 seconds throughout our qualifying. But like I said, impressive to see that solo car lap from Bill Fraser. That is truly, truly rapid. And to see it was a solo car run without any sort of draft, Connery, blows me away that Benny and Simon Edwards couldn't manage to go faster with two cars.
Yeah, it is absolutely insane, and that is going to bode very, very well for the young Scotsman in this race. If he can break that draft early on, then he's just going to be off and away with the clear air pace that he seems to have. So he's got to lose Benny Simmons and Anthony Cat for He-Man Tonightas fairly quickly here. But speaking of He-Man Tonightas, he's got himself a new team. Thrustmaster Movano have picked him up for his efforts in that Skip Barber racing machine. And I'm just looking further down the field as well. Another driver that's actually out of position that I didn't cover, Stuart Adcock, P14.
Certainly is, and wow, that would be a good one for him. But actually, yeah, he's just dropped a bit further down than we thought. So we'll look forward to see how he does in this race, whether he can come forwards, Connery. But we are now on the grid.
Yes, we are, as the drivers do take themselves to the starting grid. We're just waiting for a couple more drivers at the rear end of your field to get themselves ready and waiting. But this first turn, this is always interesting in every single series, no matter standing start, under the safety car start. It's all going to be happening in turn one.
Certainly is, and the engines will rev up now for the start of the race tonight, and green flag will wave on the gantry. It's a good start by the cars at the front. Fraser makes his way lackadaisically across to the outside line of turn one. Simmons looking for an early dart to the inside. He knows Bill Fraser has a big advantage on speed, but he isn't going to have a chance for turn one there as Fraser takes the line just as he wants to. Already stretching a bit of a gap there as we head in 2, 3, 4 wide there further down at the back of your field. A couple of contacts, but nothing too major. Everyone gets through basically unscathed there, Connery, making it through the pack. But up at the front, it's single filed very, very fast. Everybody wanted just to get off that run. Maybe our top 20 here are single file already. Fraser's legs stretching by the time we've reached about turn 6 here. The young Scotsman is off. And it's been a funny piece of information here, but today is National Unicorn Day. And can you guess what the national animal of Scotland is?
Yes, it is that aforementioned animal, the unicorn.
It is indeed.
So
yes, so Bill Fraser is the unicorn at the front right now. How are we talking about unicorns in a rotor race? I don't know. But we're moving back on to the racing.
I have no idea, however. But there we go. P number 6, P number 7 down there through the field. There's going to be Simon Edwards, Jack Hobbs. The battles in and around them as they try to snake their way now down this very, very long back straight here at the Circuit of the Americas. This is where you'll see a lot of the passing opportunities coming down in towards turn number 12. Here comes Jack Hobbs making the move over Simon Edwards here for what is going to be P and number 6 out there on circuit. But Jack Hobbs a little bit tentative on the brakes coming down into 12. Side by side, multiple instances of side by side behind. Adam Terry got himself past Chris Malcolm, and Adcock is making his way back through the field.
He certainly is, but he's got a long way to go, and he kind of did that to himself in qualifying, of course, as Clark Williams goes very, very wide back there, entering the slower speed midsection. And you're right, Adcock is working his way forwards very rapidly. Yeah, Clark Williams appears to be out. He's retired that car. That'll be the end of his race, as he's just pulled it off the track there. Not what he would have wanted. I don't see any contact for him, so self-imposed retirement there. Maybe got the wrong fuel, actually, and might have realised he was basically out of the race at that point, so decided to just pull it off the racetrack. End of lap 1's going to come in just a corner's time. And Bill Fraser is really pulling that gap already over the likes of Simonsen and Cat. And they've really got nothing to hold to him here. Look at how big that gap has grown. They have the draft, or they had the draft, Connery. This guy has got these corners dialed in.
Yeah, it's an incredibly impressive effort, both in qualifying and in these early laps for Bill Fraser as they head into turn number 1 for the second time. You see Figgy Mandonides is in P number 4 taking the ultra outside line, looking to try and get a run off of the corner in towards the S's, but you can't exactly go side by side through here, or at least side by side rather quickly through the single line section that's very reminiscent of the Silverstone's Maggots and Beckett section. And well, I like to say this track pays homage to many other historic racing circuits, because you've got that triple right-hander at the end of the lap. It's a triple left-hander at Istanbul, but it gives the same feeling.
So it does. A lot of these corners, of course, inspired by those corners around the world of very famous motor racing circuits, and down towards, I should say, number 10 at the moment. The gap for Fraser widening even more. He's actually probably broken the draft at this point, Connery. As we look back for some closer battles in this group. Oh, a big one's forming up here, just at the back end of our top 10, really. And this is Sheen, Jones, and I believe we have there Malcolm getting involved in this one. And that's a bit more interesting than what we had up front. They were just pushing it hard into 10, as here comes Malcolm to make a move on the 11 of Anthony Jones. Should have the inside line approaching 12, Connery. Big advantage in the brakes if he's bold.
Yeah, and he's, well, Anthony Jones not going to make it 3 wide down the middle of Chris Malcolm and Jonathan Sheen. So Malcolm will actually get the 2-for-1 down into 12, but he's completely and utterly outbroken himself there. Will lose multiple positions as a result. Has to be careful with the track rejoin here. Gets himself down there safely. Here comes James McRitchie now on Anthony Jones, coming through the slow speed middle sector. Will have to take the outside for the turn number 14 and 15, sort of double AKX left here, as it starts to tighten and it starts to funnel in. But McRitchie just holding a position there. Vaughan Roberts and Malcolm, they're going to head side by side into the triple right.
Certainly are. That was a big nope there, of course, for Malcolm, as yeah, overcooked it just a tad at that point, as looking up towards third place. Anthony Catt at the moment, he is going after, well, was going after Fahim. Fahim's just made that pass for third place, so the new Thrustmaster Movano driver going forwards. Simon Edwards now bringing up the rear of this group. He's currently in P6, being chased down by Jack Hobbs, who's looking really racy today, Connery.
Yeah, he is, and well, he's currently saying P number 2 in the championship, and that's by virtue of just getting these clean and consistent finishes inside the top 10, inside the top 5, not having all too many issues during the race. He's just a very accomplished driver in terms of his racecraft, but still trying maybe to look for the opportunity over Simon Edwards here. It's currently down 1 position on his qualifying, so not the ideal first couple of laps for him, as Hobbs, look at the run he gets off of the apex there. The one with the right hand apex is in the S's, but it's so difficult to pass in this section.
It absolutely is, and well, it's a fantastic run actually at the moment in this section. This is one of those more flowy parts of the racetracks we have in iRacing, Connery. Get it right and you're fantastic. You make a mistake in one of those corners, it throws you off for nearly all the rest of the section. It's vicious, but it is beautiful when you get it right, and it feels amazing to ride. And I say ride, it feels like you're actually on a roller coaster when you get that thing hooked up. But further up the field, gap at 1 second now between first and second place. Simonsen looking powerless. One of the drivers who's been so successful in this series, 2 starts and 2 wins. He's honestly...
Yeah, down towards the inside will go Jack Hobbs, though he's been threatening this move in the first sector. Will come into the second sector to try and complete it down the inside of turn number 12, and not a lot of room given off the exit of the corner, but Jack Hobbs was safely ahead, coming down onto the brakes into 13 now.
Big braking move behind him as well for Stuart Adcock, making a move there on Adam Terry in the 87. Move Adcock from starting in 14th up to 10th place now. No, it'll be 9th place, I should say, having made that move. And now he can begin his assault on Terry, Watson, Hobbs up ahead. Well, those guys haven't really broken away much. In fact, this whole group from second backwards still quite close to each other. As we'll see what can happen if Adcock can gain some more ground and start battling with these guys. We'll probably end up with a very interesting race. Took a look at Plumbers. Robert Plumley back in the 22nd spot, started 29th. He's up 7 spots so far. Working on Ryan Hewitt at the moment. Our man, the Torpedo. As himself, Ewan Patterson, Tim Adcock, and James Child just up ahead. As it looks as though Ewan Patterson going to make a move there on Tim Adcock into the final corner. That is all the way back in 19th place. 2 by 2 as they come out the final corner there. At the line, it will be Tim Adcock's position, but up the inside, it's a good one for Ewan. As here comes another car behind him. That's Ryan. Hewitt's going to look up the middle in 3 wide. Oh, that was so close to Tim Adcock's rear bumper there. Connery, or his rear wing, I should say. That was nearly a disaster into the braking zone for one.
Yeah, and that was almost Ryan Hewitt making his nickname a reality coming up in towards turn number 1, but no contact between any of the drivers, and they'll manage to make their way through the S's section. There's different lines taken here by Tim Adcock and Ewan Patterson, so that gap will fluctuate up and down, and Adcock gets a bit loose off of that right-hand apex, but manages to keep it together. So we'll see how this one plays out, especially coming down in towards turn number 11 after they come across this crest and then back down the hill. The elevation change is quite extreme here at the Circuit of the Americas, especially in that first sector. As you climb up the hill, and as you know, if what goes up must come down.
Yes, certainly is, and well, I'll have to be very careful with how this one plays forwards. As side by side there, Robert Plumley and Hewitt, although his rear wing a little bit bent up on the number 18 machine there, 16 of Hewitt. Can Plumley make a move towards turn 12? He's staying in the draft. He's going to pull out late here. Look to the inside. Just as it seems up ahead, Ewan Patterson's doing the same thing on Tim Adcock. Into 12 they come, and who will get the better on the brakes? Both drivers on the inside line taking advantage of making those moves, although Hewitt got held up badly there. And through will come Aidan Brow as well, or tried to. Loses that spot back to Hewitt, but he runs wide. Brow gets a second shot at things. Further up the track there as he's trying to keep that position intact, but it won't work for him just yet. Ewan Patterson has, like I said, moved up there to the 19th position, broken into the top 20 properly there. Let's take a look at Stuart Adcock. Has he made any ground? Not really here, Connery. Still just in front of Adam Terry. Not really gained much on the cars ahead of him. Mick Watson, Simon Edwards, Jack Hobbs, of course, but the gap is broken. The draft is just such a big factor, and with it being so separated, I don't think he has much chance. But look at the front. 1.3 seconds for Fraser over Simonson now. And he's on his own. They've got a pack. What's this guy's secret?
Yeah, as I said, it's just an impressive performance so far from Bill Fraser. I haven't really seen all that many people just get to the front of a Skip Barber pack and then just pull themselves off of the front of it at what is a kind of a relatively draft-dependent circuit. As Benny Simpson clipped one of the anti-cut curbs coming through the S's section, and that is definitely not what you want to be doing. It can damage the suspension, damage those front wings, damage the floor of the car as well. So those things are absolutely vicious.
Certainly are, and they need to be very careful with what they do with this one. As up the track now, looks like some issues there for Antonides, but he's doing okay for the moment. We'll take a look back at where Plumley is fighting. That's all separated out here. A bit quieter than it was. I think we've had some issues possibly for our good friend Mr. Thurston. I don't see him really anywhere in the running order, Connery. He must be there somewhere. No, he is just ahead of Kellyman. Yeah, in 24th place. So he's only gained 2... No, he dropped back 2 spots, I should say. That's not... No, he's gained 2. My brain is not working today. Gained 2 spots. Not his usual performance,
P2.
but... Yeah, P2 with Benny Simonson. And it's a fight between him and Antonides. Simonson versus Movano's latest signing.
It is.
You have the opportunity to look at the cutback opportunity here for Antonides, but he gets it done. Beautifully executed.
Yep, it was, and Fahim definitely showing the form, or starting to show the form he had just a couple of seasons ago, where he won his couple of championships in this series. And well, since then, since he won his last one, he's kind of been there or thereabouts. He's had a well, the lion's share of the incidents in most of the races that he's participated in since then. But over the past couple of races, we've really seen Fahim Antonidis come back to the forefront in this UK&I Skip Barber series.
Yeah, certainly have done it. It's really good to see as well. It seems so for him now he's put on some team colours. He's really put his elbows out and changed his racing style from somewhat pacifistic to quite an aggressive stance where he's thinking about moves a bit more, making some great options work. Wow, they lost a lot of time fighting. Now look at that gap, 2.5 seconds now. They lost 1.2 seconds fighting over your leader. As now it's really bunched up this 2nd through 6th place pack of Antonidis, Simonson, Cat, Hobbs and Tall. Good to see Gary Tall up there, though. He qualified 6th and is still there. Almost if we haven't noticed him all day today. He just appeared in 6th place, and we're not entirely sure how he got there.
Yeah, he's one of those drivers where you just don't notice, because they don't get themselves involved in much, but they're always running there, sort of inside of that top 10. It's really a sort of a Clark Williams sort of scenario. Unfortunately, Williams has retired from this event on the 1st lap, but Gary Tall, definitely reminiscent of Clark Williams' driving style. Just be quiet and then try to make things happen at the end.
Absolutely, and they're going to keep doing that for now to see if they can make this one more interesting, but keep your eyes on his top 5 here, because there's 2 podium spots in that pack, Connery, and those are currently occupied, of course, by Antonidis and Simonson. Simonson back ahead at the time being, but there's 2 drivers there, 3 drivers who are not in that podium spots. I think the laps wind down, and we are about halfway here. It's going to tick up a notch.
Yep, it is, and there's lap traffic that they have to deal with as well, but Darren Morris will get himself well out of the way on this back straight. Here comes the move, though, for Fahim Antonidis, so the Movano driver heads his way down towards the inside turn number 12. Will try to wrestle P number 2 away from Simonson, and will be successful in doing so, but Simonson could sing a surprise one down the inside here, but the surprise one's actually going to come from Anthony Cat now, making it side by side with your 2-time race winner this season.
Absolutely, and we hadn't really been keeping much track on the lap count here. Of course, we're only about halfway through here, Connery, which is kind of surprising, but at the time being, this is probably one of our longer races this season, having 12 laps around this circuit, as it will in fact be far longer than usual for Monday Night Skippys. They might actually need fuel. I'm not sure if the official went this long, but this is definitely, most of the official races have been around the 30-minute mark, whereas this is looking more like the 40-minute mark, so I wonder if everyone's actually good to go to the end of this.
Well, I think the fuel tanks will be okay. We've only had one experimental race in the Monday Night Skippys where they did have to make a fuel stop. That was at Interlagos for the final race of the season, I believe it was, a couple of seasons ago. Yeah, but it was pretty manic because we did have people running out of fuel and just trying to stretch the tanks a bit too long, but I don't think we'll see that happen today.
One can always hope that is how things will go, as Bill Fraser, 3.6 seconds off now. He's just disappeared. We're not going to bother talking about him, but we are going to talk about Antonidis now, who's got a bit of a gap here on Simonson. The biggest advantage he's had so far, about 0.8 of a second over Simonson. Hobbs, Cat, Tall, all still in that group. Watson, a little bit further back there with Simon Edwards. Stuart Adcock is slowly gaining on that pair, so they are falling back into the clutches of the 52 car.
Yeah, they are, and the 52, Stuart Adcock, he's definitely going to be looking to gain as many positions as possible after having started P number 14. He's already got himself what will be a net gain of 5 positions over the course of this race, but back towards the front row, though, Jack Hobbs, we know it, we said, you know, at the start of the broadcast, he's usually a driver that we don't talk much about, is typically quite passive. He's basically proving us wrong right now by just locking onto the back of Simonson and having a look here and there.
Certainly is, and we've got a bit of a move going just up ahead. I think that is Mr. Hobbs was taking a look, but here comes Benny up the inside for 12. Fahim just gives him the spot, not really wanting to fight it just yet, but he looks back for the undercut. Will it be an advantage for him, but it's not going to be enough speed there to make an undercut work here. Double apex right now should be in Benny Simonson's hands, unless Fahim can go up the inside again, but with this sequence cutting back on itself yet again, it goes back to Benny's advantage, unless Fahim could do something and overlap like he does. Yes, that's what he needed to have happen there, Connery. Fahim needed just to stay partially alongside, because the next corner is, of course, a right, giving him the advantage. He retakes that position. This is better driving than I've seen from Fahim in a while, and look at that one. Here comes through Hobbs. Simonson lost quite a few spots with that attempt.
Yeah, went out up until the marbles, but that's the reason why I love that slow speed middle sector, because it really encourages a lot of side-by-side racing, because if you're stuck on the outside line for one of those apexes, you can quite easily cut in and then get the run off of the corner to be able to challenge in towards the next corner, and that is what I really, really like about this race circuit.
Yeah, it certainly does blend the best parts of multiple tracks we've seen with some interesting conditions, of course, as Simmons said, oh, wow.
Oh, Hobbs down the inside.
I think I need a replay of that one, Connery, because it just happened, but I really want to reanalyze that because it happened before I could really look at it myself, but it looks as though, I'm not sure what happened to him there, but Antonides went wide and slowed down a lot because I think he saw them coming. Hobbs took an opportunity, missed, went very wide, and Simonson also tried to duck his way through there but couldn't quite make that one work, as that was a bit more exciting than I think they wanted, but these guys have definitely decided they are fighting amongst themselves for this race.
Yeah, Bill Fraser, he's about 4.8 seconds ahead now, and that's climbed up as a result of that amount of turn 1 shenanigans. That's up to 5.6 seconds now. So Bill Fraser, he's just completely checked out at this stage. There's pretty much no catching him unless something happens, but touch wood, hopefully that doesn't, as the number 11 car is around right now. That's Anthony Jones running into a couple of issues. Single car spin through the second half of the S's.
Absolutely is, and that's not what he wanted to have happen, of course, as it looks like Gary Toll is catching back up to that front group. Watson and Edwards also too, as the fighting continues, but more importantly, Stuart Adcock has really gained on that group now. He's right up to the back here of Edwards. Should see if the number 52 has an opportunity to make a move here, get himself into this group, as fighting once again at the front bunches everybody up, and it's Antonides and Simonson fighting hard for this quasi lead of the pack, shall we say, because it's not for the race lead, but they are duking it out hard here for second place. Possibly the hardest battle I've seen for a second place finish so far in this series, but look at how much is bunched up the field behind them. It has brought the entire group here back to Adam Terry in 10th place, back together.
Yeah, pretty much anyone in this pack can actually finish on the podium right now, as Benny Simonson risking running wide here, coming through the triple right, but will manage to keep somewhat towards the inside of the racing circuit to stave off the move of Jack Hobbs. But through the penultimate corner now, and you're completely right, this train is absolutely bunched back up, and that's the risk you run if you're the pack leaders and you're going side by side through slow speed corners. That's just really, really going to lose you a lot of speed. And now Ben Antonides is going to do a little bit of an IndyCar swerve here, trying to break the draft. Also defensive inside line taken from him. Coming up into turn number 1, Simonson has to go the long way around, and it's very, very possible here in turn number 1 to take that wide entry and then get the apex speed and the exit speed out of the corner, but not able to do that is Simonson. He's still looking for the inside in towards the slight right-hander there, but is still unsuccessful.
Certainly is there. Tried his best, but couldn't quite make that one happen, as behind them, bit of a wobble for Gary Toll back in turn 1, but he managed to hold on to the spot. Adcock well and truly now attached to the back of Edwards here. We'll see if he can make any moves now, running down from 10 to 12. Usual good passing spot for the draft. Of course, drafting from further back in the pack, not always as effective as we've seen. Gonna have to expect Benny will go for something, and the same for Jack Hobbs here, of course. Connery. Hobbs, the one missing out on a podium spot right now, would like to get onto those positions. Oh, huge move there for Watson, up the inside into 12. Manages to jump Gary Toll, but bottles up this whole group, and this is a big advantage here for Adcock, who's going to have a run on at least 2 of these guys.
Yeah, but it has split the pack up a little bit as they'll look to go 3 wide down the back straight. Stuart Adcock Extreme driver's right-hand side there. They'll go side by side ahead of them. Mick Watson, Anthony Catt there towards turn number 12, but still 3 wide they'll go in towards the heavy braking zone of turn number 12, and Adcock looking to gain those even 2 more positions on the outside there. A little bit of contact between Simon Edwards and Toll as they're still fighting coming down into 13.
Look at this from Adcock, is slicing through this pack absolutely viciously. It's like a rapier slicing through a cake. Not sure where that analogy came from, but I like it. We're going to stick with that one, because Adcock took 2 on the outside in 12 and another one in 13. That was beautifully executed traffic management there from Stuart Adcock. Moves himself up to, at this point, what will be, I think, the 6th place. So huge moves from him there. Heading towards the podium, actually, if you can hold this one up. 9 laps in the book by the end of this lap. We will have 3 more laps as we cross this line, and that's plenty of time to get up to these guys if you can deal with Anthony Catt a little bit quicker, or Watson, I think it will be now.
Yeah, still a lot of time on the cards for Adcock to potentially get himself on the podium with, well, they'll come on to lap number 10 right now, but challenge for P number 3 it's going to be between Simonson and Hobbs, but Hobbs unsuccessful with his attempt around the outside coming up towards turn number 1, but this pack of 3 has kind of broken away from the rest of the pack here with how much fighting has been going on behind, but I think if there's one lesson to be learned from the race so far is that if these guys keep fighting, that those drivers behind will just be right back in the thick of things.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're going to be trying their hardest to get involved in that one as Antonides defending here against Simonson as hard as he can, but doing a very, very good job at this one, actually. He's managed to hold off Benny, who's been quite aggressive in his attempts. Jack Hobbs is certainly getting a bit excited, up from 8th to 4th place. 14th to 6th though, Adcock, he is moving forwards very, very rapidly here. One of the bigger movers we've got in the pack so far. Another one that's up is Plumley. He's up 10 places from 29th to 19th. Doing a great job there for him. One of the biggest losers though right now would be Matt Cox, 15th down to 29th. That's down 14 spots. Not what he wanted at all. But P2, look at this. It's Benny Simonson up the inside there. Nice simple pass, but it could be a little bit overcooked if he tries to hold this one. Could be a good opportunity for an undercut here from Fahim if he can do it. Not going to have the run yet, but we've seen him pull it off before.
We have, but Fahim kind of has to get this run off of 13 right now, searching for what will end up being the outside for turn number 15 now, and Benny Simonson running some very good defensive lines through that section, not given the opportunity for him to pull a surprise one down the inside at turn number 15, so will hold position for now as Antonides has lost a little bit of momentum there, coming through the triple right, and allows Jack Hobbs to just lock back on the back of that number 8 machine, but we're going to have 2 laps to go next time by.
2 laps to go indeed. 2 final laps around Circuit of the Americas here after what has been quite a lengthy race so far. This one should be too much longer, of course, as wide goes Watson there. Might actually lost himself some speed over Adcock, so still opportunity there as Hobbs is about to make a move here on Antonides up into 1. Simonson back in control of that group, of course. Doing his best to hold on to that unless Antonides can get back to him, but now with Hobbs getting in the mix, that could make things interesting as Hobbs is probably going to push wide again. No, he holds on to that one this time by. Antonides right up under his gearbox there as it could come into turn 2. Beginning our run through this S's section. Lap traffic ahead shouldn't be a major issue, but they might catch it in an awkward spot.
Yeah, they may well might, as that bit of lap traffic is Chris J. Morris, just a couple of seconds down the road, so could potentially fall back into the thick of things here with the battle for the final podium positions. But Benny Simonson currently looking very, very strong, but I won't count out Jack Hobbs here. He could get himself another podium in the series, but the thing is that just as I say that, he runs a little bit wide there, coming out of what will be turn number 10 out there on circuit, and now this puts him under threat from Fahim Antonides. But look behind, there goes Wick Watson with the move from quite far back. Move wasn't on though, and he doesn't end up making Fahim Antonides all that scared.
No, big move there by Watson. He tried to have a go, but it wasn't quite in time. As that is a lap car ahead. Yeah, it's not the car of Bill Fraser, who's 8.7 seconds ahead right now. That is how far the young Scotsman is away. As up the inside looks. Oh! That got interesting real fast. Jack Hobbs just had the fright of his life there. We'll show you what happened there again as Hobbs coming up behind the car of Benny Simonson. Simonson has to slow down for the... Oh, God, that lap car did not get out of the way. He stayed in his position, going super, super slow. Didn't realise the leaders were behind him as he pulls out to go around. That's where Hobbs was taking evasive action. And Hobbs just flies off the racetrack. That was a massive moment.
I think that was actually more of a mistake from Hobbs, because the lap car didn't really come into play until Hobbs had already made his outbraking himself mistakes. So 361 driver now back in P number 7, as this is in fact now the last lap. White flag out there on circuit now for Bill Fraser. One more lap for him and he can get himself what I believe is his first race win of the season. But this battle for P number 2, P number 3 still on between Simonson and Antonides.
It is, but unfortunately I think it might have settled down a bit here, Connery, as it looks as though Simonson's really secured that spot for now, as here goes Adcock behind them in 5th. Taking a wide line against Watson. He's going to have an overlap, but will it be enough to hold on through turn 2, which is in Watson's favour? Not here, but he might have the chance in the backstretch, of course. We'll have to keep your eyes on that. Looks like Antonides closing in on Simonson as well. So we could have 2 great fights here in your top 5 towards the end of this thing, making things a bit more interesting as we'll come through this section here until we get to the really good fighting parts of the track. Of course, both groups close enough to make a move into 10 as well as into 12, so we'll see what they choose to do on this final lap. Of course, a move into 10 could be countered by 12, so you have to be very careful when you choose to make this happen. Both pairs of drivers, though, both cars want to get past the other. No chance for both getting involved in each other's fights, but it's going to be 2 parallel battles, 2 parallel duels here on the racetrack. As Antonides sets up for a great run behind him, and Adcock sets up for a very fast exit from turn 10. He gets it. Great run there. Set a very wide corner, Connery, and it gives him a huge burst of speed. If he can get to the left there of Watson, he's got a great chance, but he goes to the right instead with the draft. Up ahead, Antonides right behind Simonson. What's he going to go for? The wide entry as well. Both of them, the contenders, taking the outside lines here. Could he get a good overlap? Simonson, not a mistake yet. And it looks like Adcock actually did hold the outside. Wow. He did it once before. He does it again here. Gives him the outside advantage. And oh, contact there with Antonides and Simonson. Just a little tap, but there was some nonetheless. Here they come through 14-15. And a bit of a slowdown there by Benny Simonson. Not enough, though, to make anything happen, but Antonides right on his gearbox here. Look at how close he is there. Oh. Taps him! Oh! Antonides taps Simonson. Tries to bump and run there. As through they come. Connery, this is getting dicey as around the outside he looks.
Oh, this is getting so close to the final corner. Bill Fraser heads his way across the line to take his first race win of the season, but side by side through the final corner will go Simonson and Antonides, and Simonson will get it. It's a short run to the finish line, and Simonson will secure P2.
He certainly does, and of the 2 behind him, Adcock won that battle. He'll get P4. Will end up 10 places up from where he started in 14th. What a final result to the race there. That was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it absolutely was. It's always great seeing the battles come down to the final moments, the final couple of corners to decide it. And, well, we've got the rest of your runners heading their way across the line now. Just going to flick through to try and see if there are any close battles. Close one for P number what is going to be down through the field, just inside your top 20 there. Tim Adcock, Aidan Bro, very, very close across the line, coming through the final corner. But I think everyone else is a bit too far spread out to be a noteworthy and no way down towards the start finish line. But wow, that was a great finish.
So it was, and 2 hour results. Bill Fraser comes home with a win tonight in round number 4. Great run by him. Finished 10 seconds ahead of Benny Simonson in 2nd place. Antonides close 3rd there with Stu Adcock, Mick Watson in P5. Jack Hobbs, Simon Edwards, Adam Terry, Gary Tall, Anthony Catt in 10th place. After that, we have Jonathan Sheen, Nicholas Vaughan Roberts, Chris Malcolm, Darrell Taylor, Nick Sigley, Ewan Patterson, James Child, Robert Plumley, Aidan Brown, and Tim Adcock. Rest of those positions up on your screen there. Well, Connery, that's actually been one of the more exciting races we've had here at COTA.
Well, maybe not for the race win, since Bill Fraser wins it by 10.7 seconds, but pretty much all of the positions behind were really hotly contested by all the drivers out there today. Benny Simonson coming out on top of Fahim Antonides, and Adcock making his way from 14th on the grid to 4th. That's a net gain of 10 positions there. And we also got Robert Plumley making a good effort as well, getting himself into what is going to be 18th from P number 29 on the grid as well. So a couple of good movers through your field, and a good race as a result.
Certainly was, and we have a driver already waiting for a chat with us here today. Fahim Antonides, who came home today in the second spot, or third spot, I should say. I'll get it right eventually. Busy race today for him. It looks like signing with Movano has already given you some extra speed.
Sorry, Rachel, say that again.
I said you had a good race today, coming home today in third place. Big battle with Benny Simonson. Looks as though your new team has certainly given you advantage already.
Yeah, it's nice to be running in Thrustmaster Movano colours. I don't know if the trading paints was working. It certainly wasn't working at my end. All I had was a grey car, so I was wearing the overalls, but I couldn't see the colour of my car. But it's, yeah, I mean, look, it was a great race. Congratulations to Bill. He ran free and clean. And on a track like this, it always happens that if you start fighting with your with a guy next to you, whoever's in front is just going to run off with it, and that's exactly what happened. But that's not to take anything away from Bill's pace. He had great pace today. I've just come back from a 2-week holiday and a bit jet lagged, but I was keen to get this race going in the new colours, so I thought, why not? Let's give it a shot. And it hasn't been a bad race and a good way to dust off some cobwebs. So I look forward to the next one.
Well, we certainly look forward to seeing what you do in the next race. Congratulations on third place today for him.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Oh, we're going to wrap things up for today here on Monday Night Skippies. It's been a great race here for round 4. Don't forget you can come back and join us same time next week, as always, here on RaceSpotTV. I've been Richard White, I've been joined by Connery Maddock and, of course, the maestro himself, Will Vincent, on the cameras. Don't forget, of course, to check out CALM as the Campaign Against Living Miserably. They are our charity support we have on this series. And, of course, don't forget Esteban Ballo and his track pack for gourmets. Incredible cameras we use here at RaceSpotTV. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.